Good morning, YouTube friends. I'm sitting outside in the pavilion. It's a little bit cooler, hence the coat. And I was looking at a video. I find these little YouTubes that I post really helpful for me looking at progress in the garden. So I was looking at one that I'd made of a little garden tour back in mid-July it was, particularly looking at the table bed. Come here. Come on. Particularly looking at the table bed and how badly it was doing in the drought. And so I made a few decisions about what to move. And I think if you're following on with these, you'll remember that I moved the lettuce that were doing really poorly because it was so dry into the greenhouse. So we're going to have a look and see how they're doing. But in the end, I actually moved everything that was growing in there, and I'm using it instead as a place to put big pots. So there's been a few changes with the way I use the table bed. On the, when was it now? May bank holiday, when I planted it up, it looked like it was going to be a really good thing. But then this fantastic drought came, which has been wonderful, and it meant that I just simply couldn't water enough to keep everything well. So with the last video that I did, do you know, I almost deleted it. The sound was so poor. So I've got my little mic on. I'm going to do a voiceover. I've just taken little bits of video of all the things in the garden I want to show you, and I'm going to do a little voiceover so that hopefully the video, the sound quality will be better than it was last time. I hope so. It was awful, that last video. I'm not going to do that again. However, I am going to do a little tour around the garden, catching up with the table bed particularly, and what I've done with all the things that were planted in there and how they're doing now. Today is August the 10th, 2018. It's a lovely day. It's just it's not as warm as it has been. It's perfect weather, actually. I love this kind of weather. It's absolutely great. So I'm going to edit this little video then and do the little explanation chat and then see where we go from there. Sorry about that last one, guys. Could do better. Oops, sorry. You're okay. So here's the table bed then. You last saw this with lots of little carrots and beetroot and lettuce in it. Those are some blueberries and dogwoods that are just sitting up there, and when I water them, the water stays around the roots. So I took the carrots, I just dug them up with as much soil as possible on the bottom and planted them into the end of the bed that had the broad beans in. I disturbed the roots not at all, and I just dug them deeply into the end of that bed. And here's the beetroot, where I did the same. It wasn't going to grow at all in the table bed, so I'm hopeful that with a bit more soil underneath it and a bit more watering, they'll be okay. So there's the carrots at the end then, and the rest of the broad bean bed, I've just sown some peas. I don't know if anything's going to come of them this late in the season. And this bed then was full of potatoes. I lifted all the potatoes and I've sown radish, lettuce, parsley and fennel. There's further along there, we'll go and have a look along the path. I've done a very thick sowing of carrots here. I don't know if anything's going to come of these, but I've had a go. And then there's some chard and rainbow chard. So let's see if it works. In the bed next to it then, the runner beans are doing tremendously well now. But you can see the peas next to them, they've just started to go brown now. It's kind of like the end of their time. I'm still picking peas, but these will be coming out very soon. On the left hand side here, that row of peas never ever came to anything. So I've sown another new sowing of peas there. Again, very late in the season, we'll see what happens to them. Here's some sunflowers. This is my mistake of putting things in too thickly. We'll see what comes. They were in the polytunnel, I had to do something with them. Next door then, the sugar snap peas. And again, these are starting to go a little brown in the leaves, but they're still producing fantastic peas. So I'm eating these every night. This one, you can see, has got a bit big. It's starting to actually grow peas. Sometimes I miss them. It'll still taste great though. Here is one tray of wheatgrass and the other tray of wheatgrass that the hen ate. Bad hen. These are the lettuce that I transplanted out of the table bed. Much happier now that they've got their roots in deep soil, and I mean they're getting watered, but the water's retained in the soil. More sunflowers, and they're doing fine along the side of that path there. And this is the first of the ripe tomatoes. That's a variety called Sweet Million. It's doing great. Here are the flat leaf parsley going to seed. Still some to pick, but very much setting seed there. And next to the flat leaf parsley, now gherkins. I've never grown gherkins or cucumbers properly before, and I'll have to take advice next year because I have no idea what I'm doing. They've grown out of all proportion to what I expected, and so I'm picking them around about this size if I can. Some of them got away from me last week when I was away visiting my dad. But hey, they've grown exponentially. And then these guys here, I'm checking these every day. These are the smooth cucumbers. I've got some prickly cucumbers as well. And I'm eating these, I'm juicing them and eating them and giving them away. I've got hundreds of them. In the middle then are where the tomatoes are, and every now and then one of the side shoots gets away from me, so I just check them. Okay, in the main garden in front of the house then, or whatever we're going to call that garden, the bistort's come back again. It's had a big second flush, so I'll be able to collect seed from them again. This bed, bed number 1 I call it, is where the international kidney potatoes were planted that I lifted about a week and a half ago. And these are the lettuce that were in the table bed that are very closely packed together, about an inch tall, and they are now doing tremendously well in that bed there, again with their roots in soil. I'm pleased about that. Bed number 2 next to them is just going and going and going with courgettes. I make sure that there's only 1 or 2 courgettes on each plant, so I'm picking those daily. This, a bit further down in bed 3, this is the lettuce that I'm picking here, which is next to these carrots. Now I grew 2 varieties of carrots, one ordinary orange carrot, and then this one, which was a rainbow variety. Turns out I don't like carrots that aren't orange, so we'll just pick this one out and have a look. I'm thinning out the bigger ones to eat, but sometimes you can't pick one because the other one's so closely wrapped around it. And this carrot here verges on the pornographic, I think. So we'll separate those two, I think. Let them cool off a bit. Do you remember I planted onions between the carrots to offset the chance of carrot root fly? And totally worked. I've had no carrot root fly at all, which is good. Those onions need lifting, but there's no room on the drying rack, so they can wait a little bit longer. Here then are the beetroot. They were sown very thickly, and again, they really haven't done very well in the drought. They've hardly swelled at all. So I'm thinning them out, but I've not got a very good crop of beetroot this year. The leaves have been nice though. And then do you remember I cut down the chives on the terrace? Look at how well they've come back again. Brilliant. Hi Norma. Underneath the table in the pavilion, I have these paper bags filled with all my dry potatoes now. There are 3 bags full of these. International Kidney, Charlotte and Anya are the 3 that did really well. There's another bag there. I'll bring them into the shed, but they're fine outside at the moment while it's not really raining too much. Hi Norma, how are you doing? She's doing fine. Somebody said in the comments you can't garden without a cat, or maybe that was me. It's true, you can't. Now, one last look at Eileen. You can see around her run there all the feathers from her tails and her wings, which she's molted, and she's growing them back again now. She's looking fantastic. She's just had her morning scoop of corn, and she's quite settled there now. And the hens are enjoying the cooler weather. They really are. I got 10 eggs this morning, which even 2 weeks ago I was only getting 2 eggs. So that's fantastic. Well, I hope the sound was better on that one. Thanks for watching, guys.